Welcome to Eurosport News. My name's Carlton Kirby. Williams have confirmed David Coulthard as the second driver alongside Damon Hill for the 1995 season. The 23-year-old Scotsman took part in 8 races in the 94 season to help Williams take the Constructors' title. A superb effort by the very talented young Scot. One of the new breed of youngsters coming through to enthrall us all. Nigel Mansell, champion of Formula One in '92 and IndyCar champion in 1993, is thus without a drive. Well, Frank Williams today thanked Mansell for his help in taking part in 95 races on board of Williams. Mansell, though, at 41 years of age, looking for a seat for next year. Question is, where will he go? Certainly will not be with Williams. That confirmation today that David Coulthard and Damon Hill are the drivers alone. Mansell receives a fond handshake and a farewell. Well, the Benetton team say they can't possibly accommodate Mansell, not alongside Schumacher. It really would be too much for the young German, of course, the champion of Formula One last season. So Benetton are out. Ferrari have also indicated they will not be taking anyone else on, except for Alesi and Berger, of course, who stay with them. Ron Dennis, then, the man left. Will he pick him to ride alongside Mika Hakkinen? If Dennis does, the man who says he doesn't understand Mansell, then Martin Brundle will be out and probably confined to the test track alone. Well, we'll just have to wait and see who it is. But for now, Coulthard, the happy man. He's a Williams driver next season.
Is ready to be unwrapped.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the show. Along with John Sullivan, I'm Graham Jaffe, and we begin with some big news from Formula One motor racing, but altogether not too surprising.
Yeah, Graham, we all know Nigel Mansell is much too good a driver not to have a ride. That may be changing now. According to published reports out of London, Mansell has reached a $10.5 million deal with McLaren for this year's Formula One season. The Guardian reported Thursday that the 41-year-old Englishman, the 1992 world champion, finalized a 1-year contract with McLaren's Ron Dennis last weekend, and that formal confirmation is expected within 2 weeks. A McLaren spokesman would not elaborate on the deal, saying discretion is a must at this point. Nigel returned from the IndyCar circuit last year to drive in 3 Grand Prix races for the Williams team, including a win at the season finale in Australia. But Williams dropped him for David Coulthard, leaving Mansell out in the cold. Graham?
And welcome back. The French Ligier Formula One team have confirmed that British driver Martin Brundle has signed a contract with them for the 1995 season. Brundle joins Frenchman Olivier Panis and the Japanese Aguri Suzuki at Ligier, though it's not yet known if the Englishman will be the regular driver. Well, the deal with Brundle means that former world champion Nigel Mansell is now more than ever favourite to drive for McLaren next season. Brundle was hoping to stay with McLaren this year to drive alongside the Finn Mika Hakkinen, but reportedly grew impatient of waiting for the outcome of negotiations. However, it would appear that McLaren boss Ron Dennis is yet to be convinced that Mansell is worth the $10 million he's reportedly asking. 1 or 2 people in Formula One, including the Constructors' president Bernie Ecclestone, have suggested that the 41-year-old has an overstated sense of his own worth. Well, we can also deduce from the Brundle deal that Johnny Herbert's temporary transfer from Ligier to stablemates Benetton is now permanent. Herbert is expected to drive alongside the world champion Michael Schumacher in 1995.
Today, the McLaren Formula One team is set to confirm that Nigel Mansell will be its #1 driver for the coming season. The main sticking point thought to have held up the deal is money. Elsewhere, Christian Fittipaldi is to switch from Formula One to IndyCar this season. The nephew of Emerson Fittipaldi, who was world champion twice, has signed for the Walker racing team. In the Five Nations tomorrow, England...
Mercedes this season, a bit of a mouthful that, we'll call them M&Ms for short, shall we? There's a touch of showbiz about the announcement in central London this lunchtime.
Nigel Mansell's move to McLaren has been an open secret for weeks. Now it's in the open, and the only secret is how much it's cost the sponsors. £7 million for a year's contract is generally thought to be about right, a figure reached after long, tough negotiations.
We just took the number that we were arguing about, or the difference, and in the end, we both decided that rather than concede to each other, we'd just give it to charity, and that was the way it ended up.
In the past, there's been no love lost between Ron Dennis and his new driver, so to see the pair together may seem strange, until, that is, you consider that McLaren need an experienced hand to help develop their new partnership with Mercedes, and Mansell needed a competitive Formula One drive.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's very difficult when you view people from afar and you don't have technical conversations and you don't see where their focus is. And I mean, you know, we mustn't forget that we're arch enemies, we're rivals. I mean, you know, if I beat or I won any one of my 31 races, they weren't happy because they came second, third or wherever. And vice versa, when I was second or third, they were always the ones winning. So, you know, we had a number of meetings and it just got better and better and better, and the defences started to come down, and we spoke very honestly, very openly. And we both found a lot of mutual ground and a lot of comfort in that we shared a lot of parallels.
What McLaren and Mansell also share is the desire and the drive to win. McLaren failed to take first place in a single Grand Prix last season, and that's not a state of affairs the sponsors, Ron Dennis or Nigel Mansell, want to see repeated this year. Nigel Deering, Sky News.